Let's try this again. Can everybody hear me now? Can everybody hear me now? Leslie, can you hear me?
I heard you a minute ago, but you have to turn in the Zoom window. I can hear you in the Zoom window.
Okay. I'm going to try now. Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. Okay. Let's try this again, everybody that's stuck with me. Thank you. We're going to do a very cool thing. This is kind of a Facebook Live. I'm going to demo the technique, and we're going to talk about some ways to play with your beads as you make these triad earrings. So here are all these different variations. This all got inspired after the Ligia pendant, and we made the Triad bracelet with the components. And there are so many variations of colors and ways to do this. Leslie Pope just posted the link for the free PDF in our I Love Beads section on beadsmith.com. So working from this little component, look at all the variations you can do. So let me walk you through my sort of evolution here. You can see that the basic earring, the Triad, has 3 areas of color. In this case, they're solid color with what we call spokes. So we have just 3 different colors, solid color areas with solid color spokes. The solid areas are done, this is all a kind of a circular peyote, but you have these little herringbone spokes. So that's the basic of this. That's the basic of the Ligia. That's the basic of the Triad bracelet. Here, I've added contrast beads around the outside using the same solid color for spokes, and then 3 different colors for the inside. Then I started to play a little bit more with, because there's only a few rows of peyote, it's really easy when you're beading to be able to see where to change the color to make just a little accent of different colors with some black. And then I used silver around the outside and added a pop of silver in the center. There's a space between the 3 holes in the center. These here, I didn't make different colored spokes, so it looks like there's 3 different colors, solid colors of peyote. But if you look at the gold and silver, you'll see where they line up, where the colors line up next to each other is really a herringbone, like this. Oh wait, I flipped them, look. Point up, point down, mix and match for topsy-turvy. You can get really creative with the colors of the spokes. Here, of course, red, black, and white. That's pretty me for everybody that knows me. And I did the flip for the topsy-turvy asymmetry on these. And then I did the same thing here, starting with red in the center, and I just changed the colors as the spokes grew out. Now check this out. These are done exactly the same way as all these others, but instead of using size 8 beads and the Alona Cymbal ending, which is made for size 8 beads, I just switched to size 11 delicas and used round size 11s for the silver and the pearls on the outside. So look at the size difference and the scale difference you can play with. These are also size 11 delicas. They look smaller than these, right? The earrings? That's because for the outside, I use size 15s instead of 11s. Even though the whole rest of it is 11s, it takes it down a little bit in scale, makes it a little more delicate. So I'm sure your brains are spinning and you want to know how the heck you make these cool things. So here we go. All right, I have here all my size 8 seed beads. I have 3 colors for the areas that are going to fill in with peyote. I'm using matte black and a Ceylon, an ivory Ceylon, so it's kind of pearly, with the black and white for the spokes. And then the Alonas are these really cool endings meant for size 8s. And they're meant for size 8s because a size 8 bead fits right in between what we call the legs, the 2 legs, so that which have holes in them. And like the other cymbal endings, they're meant to be integrated seamlessly into your piece. So there's the little loop where you're going to attach the ear wire after we make our components. Here we go. Oh, you're also going to need, let's see, I'm using Fireline 6-pound, which is my go-to, a size 11 or 12 needle. Even though these are bigger holed beads and you can use a size 10, the 11s and 12s are going to come in much handier when you have to work the needle through the path of the Alona. So you have your needles, you have your thread. I'm going to use a scissors and also a thread zap to get in really close. My favorite tool. You can see how fast that got hot. The little filament there, it's a retractable filament. So, but this is not an ad for thread zaps today. This is to get you inspired to make these cool components. Okay, first thing you're going to do is take about a yard of thread on your needle, and you're going to string 3 of your first innermost spoke color. So I think I'm going to leave this out here as a reference. Get my pre-threaded out. You're going to string 3 spoke color 8s and knot them into a circle, leaving enough tail to weave in later. So I have about, I don't know, 3-4 inches, something like that. Now, let's see if I can get in closer. There's my little knot. I'm going to sew away from the knot just through one of the beads. Now, between each of these 3 beads, we're going to start our herringbone. And I'm going to string 2, because I'm doing black and white, I'm going to string 2 black and go through the next pearly bead. When you work with the seed beads, cull them to make sure that the sizes are kind of even, because if some of them get too big, they're going to warp the side of your component. So here's my thread coming out. Looks like I pulled the knot through. I just don't want to start sewing from the knot, so I'm going to keep that in there. There we go. Now I'm going to pick up my 2 spoke 8s and go through the next bead like this. And you're going to nudge those little beads so that they're going to sit like herringbone. And they do sit at kind of angles, and you're going to have the 2 blacks sitting next to 2 of the 3 pearly beads. Then I'm going to turn my little piece. It's just a little fiddly, picking up 2 more spoke beads and sewing through the next one. Be really careful not to sew through the knot as you do this. When you first get started, it's really easy to bring your needle through there. And you're going to nudge those beads again so they sit like that over the next 2. Now we have 1 more space, 2 more beads here where we fit 2 more of the spoke beads. And this time, as in herringbone, when you reach the end of a row or a round, you're going to go up through the last bead in your previous row. In this case, it's the pearly one, and the first bead that you added in this round. So you go through 2 beads at the end of a round. That's a step up. Now you can see how each of the herringbone spokes is going to be built out from this center where I have the white beads. Now I'm going to pick up another pair of spoke beads, and I'm alternating colors to help you guys follow and make it fun design. And you're going to go through the next of the previous herringbone. And again, nudge the beads to make sure that they sit like herringbone. So we're going to do that around, all the way around. I'm going to add the pearly beads. Okay. Where am I? Pearly beads. Now, so I have the next one. Now I have a space here. This is where peyote comes in. I'm going to pick up one of my solid colors and go through to be in position to add the next part of my herringbone spokes. So there's the blue bead. Now I'm going to add the spoke beads in the C-line. And you can see right here where there's that nice space where you know your next peyote bead is going to go. So I'm going through one, making sure my beads are sitting like herringbone. Sorry if I keep coming off screen. Now I'm going to pick up the second color. These colors, by the way, are part of a line of opaque frosted glazed Mayuki beads. They're rainbow peacock, rainbow olive, rainbow peacock. Okay. Now I'm added the green. I'm coming out of that herringbone spoke. And I'm going to add the next herringbone. Now I'm going to add my third color in peyote, and I'm stepping up because I reached the first beads I added, and I'm going through the black bead and the white bead. So you can see that I'm stepping up. And we're going to keep doing this, alternating colors for the spokes. So I'm going to pick up two black ones next. And now I have two spots for peyote with that peacock color blue, that kind of tealy blue. And go up through the next herringbone. Do you see how I have my finger pulling the thread straight from the bead, but my thread, my right arm is over to the side? That's just for convenience. It gives me that little kind of pulley action so I can control the thread, and I'm able to pull the bead out where I'm not going to be stabbing something. All right, some little tips. Back to the spoke. I'm going to take you through this whole thing, guys. Like I promised, step by step. Now I'm ready for some more peyote with the green. Pick one up, go through. Pick one up, go through. Stepping up through the herringbone. Add the black herringbone. And if you were doing it in the same color, obviously, it would be the same color. Doing striped spokes helps you to keep track when you're just learning how to do this. All right, so now I need my little rainbow color blue. And here again, the next peyote bead, the blue bead's going to sit above the black one, and I'm going to go through, out through two, because I've come around. We're going to do this all the way around. Herringbone, make sure they're sitting like herringbone. And now we're back to the first color again. Peyote 1. And you can see, because there's really not a lot of beads in this, that it's a great way to use up some of your seed beads. It's an easy thing to visualize different patterns because there's not a lot of room. You can make them bigger, but you're going to have to make your thread tension very tight. I mean bigger, the size bigger, because they will start to get floppy if you're just doing a two-dimensional piece like this. Again, make sure you look at your beads as you're picking them up. Make sure they're even and not too much fatter or thinner than the other beads that you're using. They're pretty uniform, as my Yuki beads usually are. Okay. Around again, I'm going to move these over here. I don't know about you guys, but even though I start out really tidy like this, by the end of a project, I have little piles of all my different colors all over because I keep moving them to be convenient to pick up. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And go up 2. Remember, we're at the beginning again. So you're going to step up through the black and the white, 2 rows of the herringbone. Now you'll see we have 3 peyote beads across each side. And counting the center, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs of herringbone. You want to work until you have 6 pair for this earring, 6 pair of herringbone in each spoke, and we're going to end up with 4 beads across each of the peyote sections. So this is the 6th one. This is the last one we do sort of basic. And then you get to choose whether you want to put an edge bead, like the black one here, or you want to leave it plain without an edge bead. One way or the other, you're going to continue around to finish off what would be your 7th row. And here's how that's going to work. We're going to put 1 more peyote for this side. See, there's 4 beads. We're going to make our other spoke, which is going to be black. I want to make sure they're sitting nice. Get the green ones on their side. There'll be 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. These opaque frosted rainbow beads, there's a whole line of colors, and they're matte, but they're kind of a little bit of a sheen to it, which I just absolutely love. They're soft but saturated colors in the frosted opaque rainbow glazed different colors. All right, I'm adding the last 4 peyote before we put our ends on. I like to play around with what's on the tips of each of the spokes. You can put larger beads, you can put drops. Here's the last peyote bead, and I'm going to step up. So this is what I have now. We have 6 pairs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in each spoke, and then 4 individual beads on the side. You can see there's not very many beads in each color here. Now we're going to pick up a single bead. I'm going to pick up one of my Ceylon beads, since that would be the progression here. And I'm going to sew through the next spoke bead like that. It makes a nice little tip. Now you can change up the colors like I did, where I started to add black around the side just for graphic impact. You can just continue with the colors if you want. I'm going to make it to match the other earring I did. And you're going to peyote all the way down the side with your edge bead. Looks like I'm staying on camera for you guys. Okay. Pick up my tip bead, and I'm using the Ceylon. Like that. More black around the outside. We're almost done the beading of this component. 1, 2. So you'll end up with 5.
You missed the bead a little bit back there, Leslie.
What's that? Everything good? Oh, I did miss. Thank you. All right, let's take that out. When you take out a bead, take your needle off the string and carefully pull things out, getting back to where you were. There you go. Thank you. All right, here's my needle threading tip. I always like to bring that in. I have my thread. I take a flat nose or a chain nose pliers and I squash the end to flatten the tip of my thread. Because your needle is a slot. The thread is kind of round. So you're going to flatten it up and you're going to bring it down until it's like a poppy seed between your fingers. Then you're going to bring the needle to the thread. Let's see if I can do this and stay on camera. You turn the needle so the eye is facing your thread. There you go, right through. Ta-da! Don't be afraid to rethread your needle. All right, I'm gonna pick up speed, and that looks right now, thank you. Eagle Eye Pope, watching me. We're at the tip. I'm gonna put the pearly one in the tip. And you know, if you put rounds, like 3 or 4 millimeter rounds in there, it looks really cool. They will, I don't know what I did with the bracelet. But it just adds a little bit of definition and some more detail. A change in scale within your design is always a nice way to add a little bit of interest and accent. So we're coming around. And we're coming up to the last part of this. Pick up the pearly one and add it to the tip. And finish up the black along the edge. So you can see, even as I'm demoing for you and I undid a part and everything, this part of it doesn't take very long. Finishing that up. All right. And you're going to step up through the last black of the pear herringbone and through the tip bead, which was the first bead there. So there we have 2 identical earrings. Now comes the fun part. First of all, and this is just me, in order to make them sort of symmetrical when I wear them, I'm going to make sure that the colors of the different sides are facing in. So when I wear them, they're going to be blue facing into my face and turquoise facing out. But I also, as you know, I like asymmetry, and I happen to like point up, point down. And it doesn't matter which way you do it, but once again, I want them to sort of be matching even though they're asymmetrical. So I have green on bottom, green on top. You can see what I did here. So what we're going to do now is, and the tutorial has very clear illustrations, we get to put an Alona on the top And all we're going to do then is hook an ear wire to that. And we take another Alona, and it's going to fit over the middle bead in your edge this way. So you can see how those 8s fit right in there. The only difference in attaching them is you have more beads here readily available to you to do kind of a figure 80 thing. And this one is just a little different. The illustrations. So here you can see how when you have the wide end, you're going to be exiting out that middle one and coming around and doing a figure 8 through, acting like the legs of the Alona are size 8 beads. And then to make it on the tip, you're going to come down a little further just to add some security to it, but you're going to basically be doing the same thing. You're going to be coming out of the tip bead, going through the Alona, around and through the herringbone beads, and then coming back down into the next row of herringbone. You can see A, B, C, D. That is referenced in the text, so you know which beads I'm talking about to make it clearer. So let's show you. We can do this one first. So this is really like the, I'll say, the most fiddly part. Make sure first that you're coming through that tip bead. And it doesn't matter which direction, whatever's comfortable to you as a righty or a lefty, as long as you're coming out of there. Now to attach the Alona here, I found it was a cleaner way by coming from the inside out. And because the holes are straight this way, and I'm going to have to come in at a little bit of an angle, I am going to use one of my pliers to help pull this through very carefully. So coming from the inside out, it looks like it's going through this one, but it's not. It's only going through that one. And to give my hands a break, I'm going to take my needle and grab it with the pliers. I'm going to hold the Alona, and I'm just going to be able to pull my pliers through like that. That way you're taking the tension away from putting all the labor on your fingers. Okay. Here we go. So you're from the inside out. I know it looks weird, but believe me, it works better this way. Now we're going to come in, whoops, come off screen. I'm going to come from here. I know this is falling away. I'm going to come down into this top herringbone black bead. Like this. And make sure your Alona is turned. And then I'm going to come back through the point bead and out the other side of the Alona. So I'm going to come back through the point. And from the inside out, use my pliers to help. And it isn't really, really tight through there, but you know how your fingers slide off the needle, so this makes it easier. And now we're going to repeat the thread path. I'm going to come down into the other black bead. And what this does is pulls the finding I got caught. My bad. Hold on. Okay. Now we're going to come back and do that figure 8. Whoops, here we go. We're going to come back through and we're going to do this figure 8 with these 5 parts. The top 2 pair of the herringbone, the point bead and the 2 legs of the Alona. So each time you do that, you're going to come at an angle up from the black bead and out through the Alona, and then down again. I'm going to turn this to there we go. Get my needle through. Here we go. And crisscross through again the point bead out the Alona. Now I will tell you, in case you forgot earlier, when I did the little tiny versions in the size 11s, I did not use the Alonas. They're too big, and they weren't big enough to add like a 15 on either side. So there, that's coming through again. So that's where, then you would weave your thread in, you would thread your tail on a needle and weave that in and trim it and add your ear wire to the top. For this version, where you have the Alona at the top, I'm going to set this aside. Here we go. You've come all the way around and you've come out the tip bead again, but now you want to be exiting the middle edge bead along the top. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not including the herringbone. And you're going to follow in a zigzaggy motion till you can come out to be coming out of that middle bead. So I'm coming out of the herringbone bead and the first peyote over there, the black one. Now I'm going to go into the blue bead of that previous row of peyote and the next black. And this next stitch, and it doesn't, if you can't do it in one swoop, doesn't matter, right? Don't worry about it, but I'm going to come through the blue and come out that middle one. Now, where's my Alona? Okay. Now, we're going to be doing similar to what we did in the other one, but we're in the middle. So we're coming out of the middle bead. Again, we're going to go from the inside out through the leg of the Alona. Another little tip sometimes, if this starts to get, once you get it started through there, did you see how I was pushing against my bead mat to help myself out, to give myself some pressure and some oomph? And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold my cymbal and I'm going to pull this through with my micro grip, by the way. I love these. Nice, convenient size. Very easy to use. My fave tools. All right. So we have the same kind of a thing happening here, where we're coming out. Let's get this up here. We're coming from the inside out. Now that leg is going to sit right over this blue bead here. Like this is a bead, almost like you're beading it right in. I'm going to come in and come through this blue bead in the top and do my figure 8, coming through that bead and then coming through the middle black bead and then coming from the inside out through the Alona. And I'm going to try to hold this so you guys can see it as I do it. So here's the blue bead in the row below and through the center. So that'll be there. Now I'm coming from the inside out through the other leg of the Alona. And then I'm going to pull this in and go from through this way, through the blue bead and the black bead and out through the leg again. pushing down on my table with holding my needle and my beads to give myself a little to grab with my pliers, and then I can wiggle it out. All right, now we're going to repeat this, but the next time you go through it, you're going to go down into another row, just back and forth, repeating the thread paths to secure it. These are not heavy, so you don't really have to worry about it yanking on your beadwork. So I came back through the blue, through the black, outside the leg. La la la, there we go. And after I've repeated that, I'm going to work down into the piece, secure my thread and trim, string my tail on a needle, sew that back into the piece and trim, and we will end up with another pair of earrings. There we go. To add to my collection. So how's that, you guys? Are there any questions? I cannot really see the chat. I'm looking to Leslie on the screen. Anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, I know that there are links to this tutorial that are in I Love Beads already. The link's been posted on our I Love Beads page. Leslie's nodding. Yay! So, short little step-by-step tutorial, clear illustrations. And those are my Triad earrings and some lessons in how to play with your beads. So everybody, remember, you can find the Alona cymbal endings in different metal colors and size 8 seed beads and size 11 seed beads and ear wires and the thread zap and needles and fireline and all the things you love from your favorite Beadsmith reseller. And that's it for today, I guess. You are all very welcome. Stay safe, like I said, if you're in the path of Ian. I have a nephew named Ian. He is not at all anywhere near as wild as this hurricane's going to be. So you guys take care. We love you. From Team Leslie, thanks for watching. Bye.